Hey, what's up? So, I've done a couple videos, but because of my constant use of self-therapy and complaining and talking about stuff that no one else needs to really hear, I delete them. Um, I need to get a I need to get control of myself because uh nobody cares, of a lot of things that you talk about. So instead of wasting my time, because I've done some really good videos and I've talked about some things I need to talk about for this comic book, but um I mess up and I share a lot of personal stuff that like I need to just keep to myself, and I only share it because it feels good for me to uh get it out of my system. But yeah, just talk about it, right? So going forward, well, I can't say that because sometimes like it's things that I just need to get off my chest. So sometimes it might slip up. Most of the time so far, it's been like 3 or 4 videos that I've just completely deleted. I didn't even voice over because I don't think the video would have made much sense anyways unless I would have just edited it, edited it. I think that's how you say it, and and I just completely changed the format of the video to I don't know, fit the narrative or whatever, right? But I can kind of hash over a couple things. Uh, I had been working, so a lot of these videos I get on here, and I'm like, well, this happened in my life, catching up with me, blah blah blah. But hold on, let me shut my door. Okay. I feel weird doing these videos and like talking to myself with the door wide open. I don't know who's gonna walk by. You know what I mean? It's awkward. But yeah. Let me talk about a couple of things that we've missed out on. So, um, I've done like 3 or 4 videos, all kind of like format. I decided we'll talk about the Kickstarter stuff, right? So we'll actually start here. So we'll get out of this. Um, these are some ideas I had for some things I'll talk about here in a couple seconds. I don't know what that is. Okay, so the other day, um, there was I was about to say high school reunion. There was a uh, anniversary, and I think it's older than me, but the Day of the Dead was filmed in my hometown here where I live. A lot of the places I could actually walk you, well, we'd have to cross the river and dock and head up the seawall and walk out to downtown, part of it. And Day of the Dead was filmed uh, in my hometown. So it was one of the things I was kind of working on, just kind of like doing some just some studies, which turns out this guy has. I had to get a better because I watched it again on YouTube and it was like a terrible copy. So I didn't get to like really, like even this, like my reference photo. I didn't get to really like kind of get a good rendered. Or I don't even know if there's really good copies of it because you know of the actual scenes. So it's kind of hard to tell what's going on. But essentially, this guy is one of the zombies. And it's like one of my favorite shots of the movie because it's Florida, it's Southwest Florida. Um, and this guy comes out, and it's a beautiful shot. It's like stuff you don't really see too much in zombie films, I think. And this guy comes, you see this blank sky, and it's just the sun, like the heat here and the way things look is just different, you see a lot of like that fuming heat off of everything and reflected heat off of things. And I was just like, I don't know, it literally felt like home type of a thing. And I was like, yeah, let me draw this thing, right? But I love that shot, and it's this dude that looks like he's taking a shotgun blast, like Kurt Cobain style, and his tongue is kind of hanging out, so he's got like a tongue right here, and then like a little bit of shards of teeth right here. And it's funny too because a lot of people always ask me where I get my influence from, and I will say, without because this is where I go down the rabbit hole of talking about too much personal stuff. I will say, some of my earliest memories of my real father was watching these zombie movies, especially I think was it Return of the Living Dead, one of them, the one with the morgue, and I remember being horrified of the morgue scene and like walking out of the house and kind of like going outside, but it always stuck with me. And then like come to find out this thing was actually filmed in my town, which is kind of cool. So when people ask me like, "Hey, where'd you get this from?" I'm gonna be, "Well, it's kind of built in, right?" Like, so the reason I did this though, this whole image, and this was just for studies. Even though I kind of like this setup, like I want to do something for this kind of style and the title. Like I need to come up with my own font, which I'll talk about that real quick too, because I've decided on. I got three titles for the Kickstarter, and I don't know if I've talked about that yet either. I think that was in one of my videos. I was going to reveal a Kickstarter thing, but I'm doing it now. So I'm going to run a Kickstarter off this project, and the original name was going to be Lost Fuckers, right? And that's the original title. I can't for that. That's for the actual comic book. When people get their hands on it, most likely that's going to be the title because that's as I've been saying, like that's what the story was always originally kind of called, and all that good stuff. But I can't put that in public, right? As a Kickstarter on a public thing and be like, support me with this title. So I was looking up fonts and I actually used AI. Uh, a lot of people were completely against it, but I don't use it to make money or anything like that. I don't steal, but I do use it in a way to like come up with ideas quickly if I have like just something I want to see. You know what I mean? It's like Google searching. So I'm not going to use the stuff, but I want to see what like it'll come up with just to kind of break apart my thought process and kind of show me something maybe I wasn't thinking of. So the AI actually recommended me changing it to Lost Survivors, right? That sounds weird, I think. I've been kind of I like the Lost part, but then even my buddy's like, "Is this thing in Spanish or something, right?" And then the Survivor thing with it being a zombie thing. Like, what I mean? Is it like Walking Dead related? Which I'm like, no. So I came up with another one just off the top of my head, and it was more organic. And I've already researched to see if anybody else has used it, and they've used variations of it as like subtitles. But I'm thinking about going with oh, where's that? Must be. Sorry. I'll probably edit that out so it's not super loud sneezing. Probably going to end up going with kill count. I think that's a little bit like more like kind of like the John Wicky vibe I'm going with, Contra vibe that I'm going with. right? So I think this is going to be it. I think so. Like I feel it. I feel it in my bones, right? So the reason I came up with this is I started thinking I need to do uh, a lot of promotion for this thing because for the Kickstarter, I've been successful at two Kickstarters. I've had three comic books. The second one, I've always believed. I'll go through this because I don't know how many times I've gone through it in previous videos. I don't think at all, but I know I've gone through it. But I think I've deleted all the videos that I have explained to myself. But I started Kickstarter with a comic book called Rise. That completely failed. That was right when Kickstarter first started. And my buddy was like, "Hey, maybe you should, do comic books on Kickstarter." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." And then I failed miserably. Like I got one donation from a really good friend. And I think that's probably what happened with is because I went off on a tangent the first time talking about that one friend that supported me out of all my family and other friends. And this friend's all the way in Australia, and I kind of started drinking whiskey, and you know what I mean. But all right, so I came up with that book, and good thing it didn't work out because not only is that story I've adapted it to be one of my better stories, but I wasn't mature enough, you know, for what I want to do in my artistic career. I was not ready. As weird as that sounds. For example, like I think if Berserk wouldn't have marinated, Berserk would not be the story that it is today, the anime, right? You wouldn't have that whole, I'm not going to spoil anything, but you wouldn't have that whole gut-wrenching motivation, I don't think. I think because the guy marinated it for a while, because I've seen it, or I came into Berserk late, right? Like everybody always told me this, and I was like, yeah. And I finally watched it like probably like 6 years ago, and I was like, oh wow. I was like, this is messed up. Um, But then I remember like kind of going down the rabbit hole of seeing how that show came about. And then it wasn't the backstory, the whole like Blood Moon stuff wasn't originally in there. Like it was afterwards, after the story had marinated it. From the best of my knowledge, I could be completely wrong. But from what I remember reading about the creation of the whole story, like he went back and that's why it's as good as it is. And I think I had a similar thing with this. Is the first one, Rise, was going to be like a buddy cop kind of possession story, like imagine like Bruce with imagine Lethal Weapon played by Christian Bale, and Chris Tucker was in the movie, but Chris Tucker played by Eddie Murphy as a demon, right? Would that work? But that's essentially what it was. Like looking back at it now, like it's and my artwork was terrible. Like, you know what I mean? It was so bad. Even like I used to think it was okay back then. I don't even know if my artwork is good now because I'm like I have that fear in my head of like, what if my artwork sucks? Like now, like I thought how it used to be good back then. I used to take images and be like, I would try my hardest, and I'm like, okay, this is where I want to get for interior pages. That same artwork that I used to think was really good back then, like I like it disgusts me now. Like I look at it, I'm like, oh, this is terrible. The anatomy sucks, and the lighting, and blah blah blah. The idea is too simple, and there's not enough. Like it was like sugar coated, glossy candy apple monsters. I feel like, you know. All right, ant just ran at me. So thank God, I failed. With failure comes lessons and Uncle Ben's responsibility and and learning to do things better, right? So I marinated a lot of things. I worked on other things like I've talked about with the scale. of my comic books, of how I would drop down into side projects to get better on the current project. That all happened. Um, we get into the God Project, we get into Old Man, I refine Old Man, and I get into this. And it's all working towards something better. So uh, I launch Old Man issue one, and it's actually successful. Like I was like, you know what I mean? Completely blew my mind because I hadn't had that level of success, you know, since I don't know. It's that feeling of like being a young kid and drawing something cool, and then everybody being like, "Hey, that's cool," you know. But when you're like an older man and you draw something cool, everybody's like, "Yeah, get a job." What are you like, 30? You know, get a job, go swing an axe or something, you know. But it brings you back to that great feeling of being an artist again in your youth. So I'm in I listen to a lot of Leonard Skinner, so I try to be an honest, simple man, right? And then I was like, well, if I did issue number one on Kickstarter, Kickstarter is to launch your project and get you kickstarted. It's the whole name and gets you kickstarted to move forward. It gets you your leg up, and then you take it from there. And I tried to live by that, and I was like, I'm gonna launch issue number two completely on my own. And there's a lot of reasons. I don't think it got really any uh, push because I wasn't really in another way mature enough to realize I'd have to send emails and remind people because I didn't have access to comic shops. I couldn't just drop these things in comic shops across the United States or whatever, you know. So kind of hurt my feelings because issue two just was like I thought the whole idea was kickstarted and I wouldn't have to do Kickstarters and Indiegogos anymore, and I was wrong. So I did an Indiegogo for issue number three, which I is my right now because nothing else has been done. You know, I'm working on issue four, and issue four is going to be better than issue three. But as it sits right now, issue three of Old Man is the best comic book I've ever made. Like sometimes I reread it and I have fun because like I have such a dry, dark sense of humor that a lot of the stuff that's like really messed up in the story is kind of meant to be a joke to me. Like and I was showing my friend just to see if I was crazy, you know. But once I got him to kind of actually kind of be like, oh wow, I didn't realize this is what you're doing, and now that you pointed it out, it's funny, which I kind of like that because it still seems serious, you know. And if you just read the comic, you're like, oh, you know, along for the ride, and it's happening to you. But once you really dissect it, you're like, okay, this is kind of funny, and I mean, it's still scary and cool and all that, but you start to find the humorous parts of the comic book, I think, which is the a great joy to me because the reread value is just amazing to me because I only read it because I worked on it for so long, like day in, day out for like it's been since 2019 since I started issue number four, you know what I mean? So um imagine just that being stuck in your head every day, and it's been years now of just issue number four, but imagine that being stuck in your head all the way till from 2019 to 20. Let's say I get issue 20 or issue four out at 2027. All those years, day in day out, this thing stuck in your head. You kind of leave it alone after you hit the print button. You know what I mean? And it's nice to come back to it every now and then. And it's also cool too because I've talked about it a lot, but I kind of feel like I did a lot of things in that comic book that just the whole series really, but a lot of things that are like the movies are just now catching up to. And I'm like, yeah, I did that first though. In comic books, they're doing it as well. So I have to like kind of one day, uh, kind of push everyone to the side that's in that business and be like, I did this first, you know. And I know what you did all those summers ago, and there will be revenge, right? Now, so kickstarting this project, right? And why I want to. I've learned a lot of lessons doing these Kickstarters and Indiegogos and what have you. my third one was kind of backed by a group of people that I I kind of have some moral grounds with. Like they believe in tell the story, right? Like tell the story. Don't pander to anybody but the story. And you know what I mean? If you're gonna make Star Wars, make Star Wars. Don't make Care Bears with lightsabers, you know? That's part of their group, and that's what I liked about them. But they went off. I wouldn't say they went off the rails, but they were also another type of thing entirely that sometimes I'm like, like I'm not a, I don't say it's cult like either, but I don't know. They would have these things where they're like, you have to say this when you're on the stream, and I'm like, oh, that's weird, you know? I'm gonna say that, and it was kind of stuff like that that kind of threw me off. But I don't know. So I got that part of it, honestly, it was cool because there's kind of like a built-in fan base that like no matter what you come up with, these people like will support you, and like that's ultimately where I want to be. You know, it's just that love for the game, and you can probably make a bad comic book, and these people are going to still be like, well, it's just one bad comic book. You know, he's got other good stuff or whatever. No matter what it is, we're going to support you and get you through it. You know, so there is that. And I will say, out of any other group, um, online or whatever, I was probably treated the best by these people. You know what I mean? Like other people will just, for example, my Instagram is full of people I would just follow. If they liked art, I would just follow them because I'd go on these rampages where like I wanted to increase my views and likes and stuff on Instagram. So I was like, I'm gonna network out. I'll just follow a ton of people that are interested in the same things as I am, and something's got to stick. And some people I'm so grateful that I've gotten to know through that, and then some just they don't care. So you know, I mean, it is what it is. And some of those people like it's all cool unless you draw the wrong thing or you post the wrong thing that's like maybe questions something they care about, you know. So one day I drew a guy with a man bun named Shaniqua, and I lost a lot of followers. So that's that's the difference. Is people take themselves too seriously. So um so with this Kickstarter, I also wanted to learn from a lot of mistakes that I did. Uh, one of the biggest mistakes is printing and like not understanding how much it was going to actually cost. So this Kickstarter, somehow, some way, I'm going to make it all digital. I want to make all the rewards completely digital. I have a built-in system right now where like I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I have this pipe dream of making a certain amount of money. If it makes a certain amount of money, I'll upgrade it to printed. But it's all formatted to be printed because I know in the long run, one day maybe I'll want to print it. Plus, I like physical copies and I understand the collector mindset, right? If anything, I just want to make a copy for myself because I know what that feels like to have something physical in your hands that you bought, you know. So I understand the power of that. For this Kickstarter, though, I'm trying to be more uh business like. Like I want this thing to go as smoothly as possible. I want this thing as soon as the Kickstarter is finished to send out all the rewards and be done. Like I don't want to have delays. The I've had problems with both Kickstarters that I ran with printing. Like I would send stuff out to Australia and then like half a year later get it back because it never went anywhere apparently. And I'm like, what? So I don't want to run into that. Like I want to be able to give people stuff as soon as they pay. You know what I mean? Like as soon as you pay for something, I want the product in your hand because that's what I expect when I pay for something. I want like I don't even like ordering stuff off eBay or Amazon because then I'm watching the clock, you know. So that's where I want to get to. I want to make it like streamlined as possible. The only printed thing right off the bat is going to be these things right here. So um, with the Kickstarter and it being all digital and me not being able to rely on the built-in group of people of fans, I have to somehow promote this thing. So I was thinking about putting boots on ground, essentially, getting out and handing out flyers. So this is where we're at now. So I wanted to come up with a bunch of flyers with just some art, some random scenes from the comic book. This one we'll talk about first, but I can go and then I'll have I'm gonna drop the Kickstarter on October 1st and have it finish up October 31st, so on Halloween, because I like that format. If I can't get it done by then I'm screwed until February, January, late January, February, which I don't want to do. Anyways, I would have to, what's January, February, March? I would have to wait till March, I think, with the holiday season and all the other stuff, because I'm not gonna ask people to buy stuff right after Christmas and then right before Valentine's, and you get what I mean. Plus, like I gotta make this work somehow because like this is my window. If you can't tell from the other videos I've made, I've kind of already I'm behind the clock already. As crazy as I want to make this comic book, which is crazy because I got 2.5 months, and you would think that'd be plenty of time, but the attention to detail I want to spend. Well, I got 3.5 months because I'll be working on this no matter what. I can have this thing completely done on October 1st, and I still want to work on it uh, during October, no matter what. So if I can add pages, if I can refine the art, whatever I need to do, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna be done with it until the day before, completely before the campaign ends. And like that's no matter what, you know what I mean? It's gonna be done. If the campaign was to end early, I would be able to send it off, because I'm at least doing 64 pages, but I want to do 150 to be honest. Um, that hit that jumped out of my mind the other day. I was like, what if I could do that many pages, 64 at least, because I want it to be a graphic novel and I want a low price point. And that's where the Kickstarter price point comes into play because um, I don't I don't think I can make a ton of money off it. So I went with the lowest price point, which was $500. You have to ask for at least 500 to get it, one of the things going. I was okay, I'll ask for 500, and then I'm selling a digital product, so it's a low price point. So, what's a couple dollars for a digital comic book, especially 64-page one? And then I'll have probably rewards where I have all three old men digital PDFs included, maybe some posters, whatever I can do for the reward system, which is going to be an entirely hard thing in itself. I might even do these as like little mini posters for people, and then people can do with whatever they want with them. But that's where I'm at. So I do need to get out to the streets of my town, and I need to hand out flyers to kind of uh, see if I can at least get the get the Kickstarter funded within the first day or so, because apparently like that's the best thing you can do because then it like promotes you on the site. Like if you can't get it done, then you're kind of like you're on your own uh, promotion wise because apparently there's a whole algorithm with it, and if you can't get it promoted or you can't get it kickstarted within the first day, they treat you like you suck. So so that is what it is. So I come up with these flyers, and they're all format based. They're essentially I think it's like 8.5 by 11, just little sheets of paper, gloss. And I wanted to come up with little scenes. Well, this one right here, I'm pointing it out with my finger, but this one right here is like a homage to the Evil Dead 2 and Day of the Dead, Return of the Living Dead kind of style of that like skull with a human eye, right? So got the eye, and I wanted to do something like that with the demon or like a monster from the book, and I'll put my own little spin on it. But like I wanted to have that, I wanted to join that trend of kind of having a similar looking image. You know what I mean, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I kind of want to add my mark, add my stamp to that whole thing. So I want to have a flyer like that, and they'll say like dropping Like all these are gonna say starting October 1st Kickstarter on or whatever, as simple as I can get it, like Hemingway style. Another thing scene I thought would be really cool. Let me zoom in. I could do that. I'm acting like I can't zoom in for you guys. I'm sorry. Another thing I could do is have the scene. It's one of my favorite scenes because it came to me out of pure nostalgia and joy for a lot of things building this comic book. And if you watch the making of the first few pages, you'll see how happy I got and like how much energy I had just coming up with a scene and having fun with it really. But it's gonna be like a flyer, kind of like really good composition of the character dropping. They do that drop ship stuff where they don't parachute because they don't have parachutes, but they fall to the earth. They might have little thrusters they can turn on at the last second, but kind of slow them down a little bit. But essentially, they're like just these heavy duty soldiers that can take that kind of hit. And I'll have one like in a cool kind of composition, just falling to the earth. And then we have my favorite zombies because I was so proud of myself, leaping up at them. So got a couple of these things just trying to get to them, and you can tell they've leaped all that way. And that's going to be really cool, I think, getting that idea across. Like, I really, really, really like that idea. And I'm going to actually expand it. I think that's going to be probably this video too, because I need to start. Another thing I'm doing is I'm going to start doing TikToks and kind of like hitting it from that angle. Kind of doing character designs, which all that stuff I can use on the actual Kickstarter as kind of like promotion for the book. Like, hey, I've this isn't even though it is like you guys have seen me go through this comic book, uh, and it's essentially a book like, hey, you can make a comic book, you just got to do it, right? And that's what this whole project is to show people because I don't know if I ever said it, but I came across a thing where it's all like you can go to school to make comic books, and I'm like, you don't have to go to school, you know like going to school will just like kind of change you. Like I went to school as like a wannabe filmmaker, and I feel like I lost a lot of creativity. Like I'm grateful for some of the stuff I learned, but a lot of it was just like it's like just telling you stuff you can't do versus like you can do this. Like I don't know if that makes sense, but I just feel like I lost some creativity. And there's also gains. I've gained a lot of knowledge and whatever. Same thing with this one is just a character I wanted to show his back, like he was like actually parasailing down or falling this way. And I wanted to show like the mech aspect of his suit because I watched like a futuristic Batman Beyond kind of AI or whatever thing somebody made, like fan made thing. And I thought it was super cool, and I was like, I'm gonna do that, in my own way. So I'm gonna have him dropping down like this, kind of. You can see the back and see like a little bit of the lights on him or whatever, and he's falling through clouds. So you got like kind of the cloud look like this, and then the ground looks like, how when you're really high up in the air, if you've ever I've never skydived, but like I've watched people, especially researching all this stuff. I've been watching it like crazy. I'm never going to skydive because it's just not worth the risk for me. I would paraglide, but like skydiving just I don't know. I'm not scared of it. I don't know. It's just not worth the risk to me. Like I don't know if that makes sense. Um, I would rather parasail, like where you get on those little kite things and you fly around. Like I'd rather do that and like control it than like just fall. And then eventually hit the parachute and whatever. But you remember how it looks is you see like this flannel patch of ground, like that's what you see down here is like the ground as blotches of color and whatever from, and maybe we can sneak in a couple of those zombies flying up at them, but you can't really tell, I guess. It's gonna be really hard to kind of uh, get that to show clearly. Plus, I think that's gonna be one of my trailers. um, is kind of going through that scene and animating it as much as I can to kind of get that across. And I think that's going to be like a really, really powerful uh, booster for me. So next up, we have like just a different angle. We have like the horizon line of, if you've ever seen that, the horizon line of clouds. So like we're looking at from sideways and you see the two soldiers just falling. And you got like the sun and like the silver lining of it, the clouds, and it's just empty sky. It's just like, you're like, oh wow, what's going on here? You know? Another one, I got gore part two. I'm just kind of characters' faces, and you can just tell they're being like attacked, kind of like that iconic look from the Day of the Dead or zombie movies is when they get all like ambushed and you just see their face screaming and everything grabbing at them. I wanted to have my version of that, and these two images, one for each character. So just different angles, like his face is down here being pushed to the ground or whatever, you know, them grabbing him. This one's kind of like maybe him looking up or, you know, in the middle of the crowd. So, and then this is going to be more of the side by side with like kind of monsters behind them, kind of just ridiculous monsters that don't really make sense, like anatomically. So we'll use that as the backdrop where we'll have, and I might make this, this is honestly might be a, I might expand on it and make it the, like a bonus cover for like certain tiers, I guess, if I can like squeeze different rewards out of people. I'll do this because I like this idea when I was coming up with it more than I like the original. So that's going to be my my good one, but I'll pretty much set up for it right here at this poster and kind of see my dog's at the door scratching. And I got headphones in, so it sounds really weird to me. And then this one, I thought it'd be cool if it's like a bird's eye view of a scene. You kind of see them like almost like remember GTA? That was kind of like a top-down visual, and you can see them kind of walking, and then you got bodies everywhere. Like I got this from the fall scene where they actually hit the ground, and then I'm being realistic about this crazy stuff. So even though these zombies can leap from the ground all the way up to like you know like fighter jet levels, um, when they do that, I wanted it to damage them for one. Like I'm gonna have a scene, and this is gonna be one of the character designs that I do probably on here, which I might even start either this video or just do a completely another one. I might just do it. I might end this one because I'll keep this one as like a talking video, kind of like a vlog, really. And I'll do the next one and then and kind of use TikTok as kind of like I'll edit it down for a TikTok and whatever, you know. But I want to show uh, anatomically what happens to their bodies when they jump. So I'll come back to this actually. You know what? I'll come back to that. So let me star that so I remember because my train of thought I notice when I make these videos as I am everywhere because I start to get excited. I start to be like yeah, I like doing this and this is why I'm doing it and then like my art process, like my creative ADD, is that what it is? ADD? Can't stay on one thing for too long or whatever. Um, it kicks in. So when I'm talking about stuff, I actually start to like think about like four or five different things. I've noticed when I do these videos is it happens a lot to where like I lose my train of thought because I jump on another topic. So I got to start reminding myself and maybe even uh, leaving more notes because I do it a little bit. Um, and I need to be smarter and do it a lot more. But come back to that. This one is just gonna be like this. I saw one of my other favorite artists do like this image where it had like kind of just a basic face, kind of just staring this way. I could have the character like that, and then so you see like this just stationary kind of like posing with the character, whatever. Maybe the other character in there too, because I don't want to show favorites. It's not about one character or the other. It's about both of them. So none of that stuff, you know. But and then like the shadow of like this crazy monster right here. And it's just like, oh, you know. even that stuff, like you got to kind of come up with something that's like there's got to be a reason why it's so. I'm just make this big face of a monster, dwarf in this thing. That's what I'll do to make it make more sense. Trying to figure out my dog's knocking. Yeah, I think my dog's knocking on the door. Hold on. Oh, come on, buddy. Yeah, yeah, my dog was knocking on the outside door, and I had to go in the other room, let him in. But he was outside with the other dog, so he's like, "I'm ready to come in. I'm ready to come in." And I was drinking water, so he must have been thirsty too. But yeah, I'll do that with this thing. Is you gotta have a monster worth being like, why is this thing this big or whatever versus the character, and it has to be kind of stunning and brave. All right, so yeah, that'd be cool. October 30th, first, whatever. It's actually October 1st. But you hanging out here, buddy? Yeah. Back like a prospect. I'm also making sure I get enough nutrients in my body before I hit the gym. I'm gonna go around 8:30. It's 6:18 right now, which has usually actually when I get ready to go, I'm usually out the door by 6, but um, too many people there. Way too many people at the gym at this time. And I went yesterday at around 6:30. When I got there, it was like 6:30. And then I got on the treadmill for like an hour just to kind of try to wait for people to go away, you know? And I realized after I worked out for a good while, around 8:30, like it slowed down. So I was like, okay, this is when I want to go. So I'm gonna save it for then. And that's why I'm doing this video now too, because I wanted to do the videos at night, but uh, I never do. So, or it's not that I never do. The other ones that I did do, I get not emotional, but like I was saying, I talk a lot about some stuff that doesn't need to be talked about. So, for the sake of not making a fool of myself, I don't know why I keep rendering this. I gotta let this go. Okay, so what I want to do with one of these flyers or character designs, which I might do here, is I wanted to show what happens to these monsters uh, when they jump off the ground at that like kind of length, which is their legs will like tear apart as they leap. They'll just like their legs will like just shatter, not shatter, but just split, you know. And then they're flying up, and their objective is to get you or whatever. Right? They're trying to bite you and tear your guts out and all that good stuff. And then there is no there is no forethought with these things. Like they're just pretty much in the hurt business, you know. Like they're just out here to commit pain and suffering. So even at their own expense. So they're not cool like my soldiers in this book. Like they can't do a cool hero landing. So I have this scene that I want to do as a fire where these guys are walking through GTA classic style with their guns, and uh, you see all the bodies after like they land, and then all these bodies just start splatting on the ground like splat, just one after the other. The ones that land because they can't fly. It's not Dragon Ball Z, you know. They're just aimlessly jumping. So I thought that'd be cool to kind of show the repercussions, and I could do that in the cool part is it does double the work. So like I was saying, with some things kind of hidden, if you just look at this image, you're just gonna be like, oh, they just walk through like a wasteland of bodies, you know. But then when you like read the comic book, you realize these things were like monsters that like pretty much committed suicide trying to get to them, and you know, and then they land and whatever. You see how they end up. So where I want to take that is, let me zoom out here too. Is I want to do some concept design of these monsters, and I want to pretty much break down their bodies and how what happens when they jump. So we're gonna do a couple images. We'll do one first. So let's start drawing. One of the things I want to do when I do this comic book is I'm not all the zombies are gonna look completely different. So all the monsters, they're not zombies. They're crazy demon people. Like they're crazy people that are possessed. The arms don't really matter that much. I could actually cut their arms off. We'll do that on one of them just to kind of show you like, it doesn't really matter. You know what I'm going to do between you and me, who's ever watching this? I doubt that I don't think a lot of people are going to make it this far, but a little Easter egg for people who watch these entire things is some of these zombies I'm going to use like real people. Like I'm going to pull up reference. And I know this isn't the body type, but we're going to make one of them like Steven Seagal. And there's gonna be like a lot of characters like that, and like that's how I was talking about like my dumb sense of humor in this book. If you pay attention to things, it's like I'm not saying that like pay attention, whatever. Uh, but it's kind of like it's got his ponytail. His ponytail remained intact. I don't know how to draw Steven Seagal yet. I'm just telling you right now. If you've made it this far between you and me, kind of keep an eye out. This is gonna be like trivia. Plus, Steven Seagal is kind of fatter, so I'm gonna have like one of the fat zombies trying to do karate. That's what I'm gonna do. It's like, hiya, hiya. I gotta dress this up too because I want to post this. And one of my friends did his book, and he posted his character designs for the comic book he did. And I was a little bit jealous because I was like, that's cheating. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just post your character designs as content. It's not fair. Plus, I had like a lot of weird, like nasty stuff if you pay attention to like I put a lot of like what are they called, like when people have like defects. Like, I put a lot of rare defects in my books too. Like that's one of the things that if you like the trivia things of my comic books is you can kind of pick out uh rare diseases that show up on people. Like I put a lot of elephantitis for obvious reasons. Um, I'll even have characters that kind of fit the mold of operations. Like I've had an autopsy one where you know how they stitch up the, the chest like that, the Y. Probably putting that in there because it's just creepy. If you know what you're looking at, you're like, oh, that thing's already been, whatever. I've done the cancer thing where they've kind of cut off the breast and it's all sewed up, like just stuff like that. That I'll throw in there just to give the character kind of like a history. They'll have like cuts on their kidneys or like you know what I mean, where like they maybe had to have a kidney removed, and it's my little way of giving these characters a little bit of backstory that like if you were looking, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'm like that. Like I like to think it's not just aimless drawing sometimes, you know. Sometimes like if I have this much time to work on this thing, like how can I make this thing special, you know? Like how can I make this thing like where people like appreciate it more? Like the whole arm thing right here. Like I'm gonna have that. Like I'll make that cartoony too. Like that's gonna be like how they would do in like The Simpsons if somebody had their arm cut off. Simpsons did it. It's kind of like Tom and Jerry, right? So like you'll have like the little membrane right here, and then you have like almost like the ham hock of meat. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think that's how it works, but you get what I mean. I think there's like muscle here, and then you got all the fibers from the tricep and all that. But just to kind of play around now, make it look cartoony. So but I like that stuff. It's all clean cut too, besides the bone. You know what would be funny too? Because I've been doing a lot of nods to like older movies and stuff. And one thing that I cannot get over that I keep laughing every time I see it is like the Evil Dead and the Day of the Dead or no, Return of the Living Dead and all that. There'll be like zombies that come back and they're like century old, like decades old, and they still have eyeballs. So I'm gonna do that with this guy. Like he's gonna have that one big eyeball, and then the other one will be whatever. So I think too much is too much, you know. Plus, I don't think I could squeeze out Steven's skull in this image alone, but you know where it's going one day whenever I draw this guy in action. That's the scary part too, is like sometimes you fall in love with your ideas and then you're like, I need to give this thing more screen time, you know? Steven Seagal's zombie needs more screen time. So then I'll have to somehow make that work. He's angry. I think that would hair would come up like that, which sucks. Messed it up already. Eh, it's a concept piece. It'll be all right. We can always go back to. I have fun doing these too, like when I really get into it, because you kind of like start to come up with cool stuff, and that's not Steven Seagal at all. Well, at least I came up with the idea, and then it'll work itself out uh, whenever I gotta do the actual thing. You just gotta show the mouth kind of weird looking. That's one of the things I give my props to. Um, when people do character designs, one of my favorite types of designs is the kind of scary, goofy look. Like one the people I think did it really, really good is from Attack on Titan, where like it's like super goofy. The creatures look like half retarded and whatever, you know. But then it's like terrifying. Like that's what I go for. So like when people ask me, you know what I mean, like why does this have like puffy lips or whatever? Like I'm essentially just trying to do that. Like I'm trying to like have something that looks like kind of terrifying in a goofy way because I think it makes it more terrifying, like Attack on Titan. So props to them. Let's turn that too. Turn his face like that. I also don't think I'm going to do a spin-off of Steven Seagal zombie unless the people really want it, you know? So don't ask unless you really want Steven Seagal zombie spin-off. Then I'll have to give the people what they want. Kind of don't want to go to the gym too. It's weird. Like I love going to the gym. It's like my number one thing during the day because it's such a stress relief. And I just it like resets everything, I feel like. Your capacity to endure things like that. But then like I'm an introvert, so like just getting there, like dealing with the traffic to get there, and then dealing with the people. Like once I get there, then all of a sudden all the treadmills are being used, and then like being so close to people because like they have no personal space, uh, or they don't respect anybody's personal space. It just kills me, and it takes its toll on me to where like once I get there, I'm okay, but like I hate it. I hate people. I just want to go work out and do my own thing, and I just gotta worry about somebody walking up to me as soon as I sit down on a machine and being like, "How many sets do you got left?" It's like, oh my God. And I don't want to sound like a dick, right? This is where I start to get into my personal stuff, but like, would it be would it be wrong of me to like ask somebody to like leave me alone? You know? Like I daydream of like asking someone to be like, "Hey, like let's make a deal." Like I've had this in my head for like years. I wanted to tell somebody this whole time. Like somebody comes up to me and they're like, "Hey, how many more sets you got or whatever?" Usually, this is what bothers me about it is they come up to you and they got their headphones in and they're not really looking to bother themselves, right? So their headphones are still in. They're just looking for like cues to like kind of get an answer. They don't even give you the respect of like taking their headphones out and being like, "Hey, you know, I'm actually listening to what you're saying." That's how deep it gets for me. Um, but they come up to you and they're like, "Hey, I mean, how many sets you got?" You know, they do that whole motion. And usually I'm like I kind of like just nod or whatever. I'm like, "Yeah." I try to make it uncomfortable because they're making me uncomfortable. But one of these times, I just want to be like, "Hey, can we make a deal? And like, don't ever bother me again, and I will never bother you." You know what I mean? Like ever. Like I will never come up to you. Listen, like the whole time I'm at this gym, I will never come up to you in my life and ask you a certain thing, and I just want the same uh, courtesy. And I don't know if that'd be like a mean thing to do though, you know? Like it feels like it'd be mean, but like that's all I want to do is just ask people to like leave me alone. And like I won't bother them, you know, like just meet me in the middle. I feel like I get the better end of that stick, but it feels mean. But I don't know why. Like I don't do that to women, you know. You go up to some lady and be like, "Hey, how many more sets you got?" Just because I want to talk to them or whatever. Like no, it's creepy. It goes both ways. So it's like leave people alone. Like they don't want to talk to you, and like you don't need the machine that much that you can't wait 10 minutes. You know, it's just the whole thing. The whole thing is just bothers me. At least his body's looking more and more like Steven Skull, right? I don't know what this little hop, skip, and leap thing he's doing, but it's there. Oh, give him some kind of neck. That's kind of denying him his right to a neck, but I'll fix it for him. I flipped the canvas just to kind of see if there's some indiscrepancies, but I definitely have favoritism to the way it looks. You know, I just had an idea of is so say this guy is jumping at you, and then like if I can show it in the comic book, I'm gonna make these jiggle. Uh, I'll do it in the animation because I don't think I can pull that off in like sequential art, even though I'm gonna try. But like that's my sick sense of humor. It's like that's the stuff my buddy would be like, "Oh, I just noticed that. That's gross," you know? He's like, "It's genius, but it's gross." But yeah, I want to make these things. I'm gonna make these things move. It's so happy too. I'll probably change that because it's the eye. Like when you do these circular eyes, like it just doesn't really work most of the time because your eye's not bigger than the cavity. So actually, Command C, delete, Command V, that eye over here. Let's go back into, let's hide that eye. Let's go back into the image and let's put that in there, right? So give him that gaping hole in his face. And then go back to the eyeball, Command T, and we'll shrink it because his eye won't be too big. And then we'll click on that and then we'll move it right there, you think? It'll do, donkey. It'll do. Yeah, it's gonna have to. We'll merge the layers because I don't like a lot of layers. It almost makes it look like he's looking this way though, which I don't like, even though this doesn't really matter. But let's fix it anyways. So we come back here, we'll get the eye color, draw that eye in there. Let's fix this mouth too. So we'll put the eye dead on with us. So right here, let's put some more gore back in this cavity. So it's going to be empty here that we can tell. Realistically, there would be like blood pouring out right here. Right now, it just looks like eyeliner too. So do Yeah, right. Maybe I would take away some of the black too. It's kind of too much. There we go. That looks better. It's creepier now. Take away the spark. Took away the spark in his life. So we got the nose. We got the cheek right here. I kind of like this little divot right there. I don't know if you could tell, but I think that gives it personality. This is the part that's gonna make or break it for like scary wise. Is the teeth and jaw. Like, what if let's mangle it a little bit. Let's make the mouth come this way. Like it's his jaw's broken, right? I'll probably look up some images of like broken jaws and how they bruise, just to kind of give it that much more uh, realism. And show some signs of teeth in there, so it's not just a gaping mouth. Take away some of that dark spot. Like his neck was probably broken, so we'll make it look like that. That's what I should do with the Steven Seagal zombie. Is I should watch some movies where like he almost died or something, but then give him that injury as the character, and then like that's how that's how he became the monster zombie. Is like somebody snapped his neck, whatever. What do you think? Looks a little bit better, right? Let me see. So might have to make it like that, and then like his jaw come out like that. Actually, I don't know why I'm spending so much time. Like it's the love of the game, right? What I'm gonna do, because right now it's kind of formatted to print size, or yeah, flyer size, is I'm probably gonna work on the idea of the anatomy that I was talking about, and mess with the format here. So I don't need this uh, exact size and scale unless I want to shrink this and whatever. But let's see how that looks. What do you like more, this or this? I think that worked out a lot better. I'm gonna keep that one. Oof. Okay, let's see what we got. I almost forgot because I was talking about I have favoritism to the way I draw things. Like I was saying before I got my artistic ADD jumped in, but I like uh staying on one side. I swapped this to kind of see where I'm at, you know. Let's make that while I'm here. Let's make that like I was talking about with the muscle ham hock looking. That's funny to me. It's not even bloody. It's just like a clean cut besides the bone, like we are saying. But all right. But yeah, it was as I was saying with the like originally this angle was like my sweet spot, but now because I worked on it a little bit. I kind of like this angle now because of the jaw. It's just like the little small things that like get you to commit. Smooth out, smooth out them lovely lumps. Oh, no wonder. We're still on this. Yeah, we were still on that. I was like, why is it not working? What I've noticed with this too is you got to kind of move at the angle you want to move it to. So usually I'll just swipe like that, whereas like I have to go up and down like that to get it to move the way I want it to. Touch and go, touch and go, touch and go. It's like small things that I've been having to teach myself. Like nobody taught me this. So I used to like see my favorite artists do it, and they're like, they don't tell you, they don't care. Yeah, I remember meeting some of my favorite artists, and I'm like, hey, this is my problem. Like, uh, how do I solve it? And they're like, I don't draw more. And I'm like, oh, fuck you, you know exactly what I'm asking. I that's what Dave Raposa is like one of my favorite artists. I flew all the way to New York to meet the guy, and one of my cringiest moments ever because I wanted to fight a guy in front of him because he cut me a line at Greg Capullo's signing thing, and I was like, oh, it's so cringy. I can't even talk about it. But yeah, flew up. Even though I grew up on Greg Capullo, um, Dave Raposa is like one of my favorite artists, and just I don't know because like you kind of learn with the guy. Uh, I think I'm older than him, but like just drawing all the time, and then like kind of looking at other people drawing or whatever. Like I learned a lot from him, so it's kind of like a little special spot in my heart. And I went and flew all the way to New York to meet him at a Comic Con, and it's funny because I come around the table, he's sitting there, he like looks up, I had like damn near ran, to his table like as soon as Comic Con opened, and I was like the first person there because everybody's weird at Comic Cons, like they're not there to see the artists, like they're there to cosplay and I don't know. I'll start complaining if I could go into it more. But Comic Cons have kind of forgotten about the artist, I feel like. I'll just say that. And so I damn near ran. I studied where he was going to be, and I was like, all right, here we go. Doors open, everyone floods in, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to be stuck in line, and it'll take me a long time to see him. And like I was saying, like nobody was there. Nobody went to see the artist besides like maybe three or four people, and they all had like there's like bigger names, uh, that they went to go see. And I'm not talking about like bigger names than Dave Raposa, but like like I met Brian K. Vaughan, like stuff like that. Like people want to go see other people that are like higher in status, and I keep making that sound weird. Um, People that have more popular projects is what I'm saying. Because at that time he hadn't released Steve Lichtman and a couple other things that like kind of it was before the Logan movie, before I think he even did the Spider-Man stuff, and so he was kind of you know what I mean. He was like I don't know, but studied where he was going to be at, and then I like dipped over there. So I was like I'm gonna meet this guy, and then come around the corner, and then like the first thing that happens is like he kind of looks up at me like surprised, and I'm like what's up. So I'm like meeting I don't want to say my hero, but meeting a guy that's like had such an impact on my art. That like I would watch videos for like hours and whatever, and you're like meeting the person that is responsible for a lot of stuff you've been like that you really care about. And yeah, it was him, his girlfriend, he married her, so it's his wife, but I don't think they were married at the time or whatever. And then it was funny because I didn't even think about it, but he has his buddy, the Dan guy, and the Dan guy looked like a troll. Like, no, I'm not saying he was like a troll, but he was like in the shadows, like like I didn't expect to see him, you know. And like because I listened to the Crimson Daggers and all that stuff, I knew who the guy was and all that, you know, and he was part of it. But like, it was just funny because he was like everything I thought he would be, like in the shadows, like eating a McMuffin or something. And it didn't startle me, but it was like it was just weird. I'm chasing, but yeah, I go. I'm like, hey man, I'm like having trouble with depth and this on my image. And he's like, yeah, you gotta just draw more. I was like, you motherfucker, dude. Fucking flew all the way to New York from California. That was a good time. That was fun. Ah, good times. I fanboyed out on Greg Capullo because he stepped in front of me. We were heading to the floor one of the days, and uh, Greg Capullo's the reason, you know, him and McFarlane, like everybody else around my age, they're the reason I I'm in comic books, you know, for the most part, like Spawn and Spider-Man and the Hulk and all that from his days, the inking, you know, and like the cool designs and not the radical storytelling, you know, the rebellious storytelling. I don't know how you say it. I was I was one of the captivated, you know, as a aspiring artist. So I knew who the guy was, and I see him from my peripherals like long before I ever ran into him, and I was just like, wouldn't that be weird if I ran into him? Sure enough, he like cuts in front of me, him, his wife, and then is it Scott Snyder? I always get Zack and Scott Snyder mixed up, but the writer for he writes Absolute Batman. But yeah, they all step in front of me on their way to their tables and stuff, and I was like, hey. I started just dropping all the knowledge I had on the guy. I probably looked like a creep. Like one of the things just to show you how creepy I was. Is I was like, my birthday is your anniversary with your wife. It's like, oh, uh, I was young, but it was funny. I even told Dave Raposa, I was like, you're the reason why I came here. You know, I actually wanted to meet you and all that stuff. You know, but it was funny because I did my own Comic Con uh, when I lived in um, California, and a kid told me that, you know, it's like one of the most powerful things that I'd ever been told, really. He's like, "You're the reason I'm here," and I was like, "That's wild. That's such a." It's like that Mark Wahlberg movie where he's like singing and he becomes the singer, you know? It was like that, except I don't have a wife to give it all up for. Man, it's looking more and more like Steven Seagal in the body, though. I'll tell you that. Why am I spending so much time on this? He's like, ah, I got fingers. I have never met Todd McFarlane though. Isn't that wild? He's another one. I think he's like he's like because I mean if it had to boil down to one person, I mean it's Todd McFarlane, right? Because of Spawn and all that. But um oh man, I'm just telling stories while I work on this thing, so forgive me for my diary. You wanted to know or didn't want to know about my life story. At least it's not all my the bad personal stuff I was talking about. It's just me complaining, really. So, uh, all of my, you remember those little stupid essays we used to have to write as kids? I don't know if you had to, if you're watching this. It'd be like, living or dead, who would you want to meet? You know, if you could pick one person. And now that I look at it, I'm like, ah, that was, you know, Todd McFarlane. What the hell, you know? But at the time, because I thought it was so cool. It was always Todd McFarlane. I was like, I want to meet him, and you know, I don't know. I think I've been in the same room with him. I didn't see him because he was with Stan Lee. So I almost ran into Stan Lee, but I didn't run into Todd McFarlane. Stan Lee like was a couple people ahead of me. He cut into one of those auditoriums for like a Q&A. Same thing with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was like right after I passed Stan Lee, Mike Tyson walked by, and I was like, oh. And yeah, I don't know what this dude's gonna do with his hand. He's just wiggling it. Yeah, I'm gonna do that in the comic. It's like I have him attack the guy with a stump, hits him in the face, hits him in the face with a stump. You know what the funny thing is his legs are the stuff I was gonna focus on and look at, like the rest of the image versus his legs. I want to make some weird kind of crotch, so bear with me. I'm gonna figure this out. I don't want to make it like kind of like a baseball player. I was like kind of skin tight, just like maybe you should wear something else. Did I mess it up with that? I think I did. Why don't you leave that alone for now? Like I was saying, like it'd be funny in the comic book is this guy tackles the character and he's like ah, and you got like this face where he's like fighting back, right? Yeah, screaming. And then this guy's like shoving his nub into his mouth and stuff. It's like ah, like, no. I don't know why I find that so funny. I think I really am gonna make this like I'm gonna have to look up some baseball uh pants. I'm gonna make these like really skin tight baseball pants. Like it's like some amateur guy that goes out on his own before he became a monster. That's the other thing too. You gotta kind of add in here is like maybe little veins underneath the surface. Can't be too clean. He's too fat, so the veins end right here. Oh, this video is probably long in it because it's 7:01. I gotta start. Oh no, I gotta start getting ready for the gym. Or if you want to come back to this, I'm kind of having fun. Just give him a pudge, give him a fupa. He's got a bulge inside the bulge. Just kind of. Oh no, that don't look right. It didn't look right at all. These are going to be mangled bulges. Essentially. Oh, that don't look right at all. I don't like that. I've gone too far. Yeah, we're not going that far. Uh, I'll figure it out though. Like I have a in my head, I want it to look like he's like fat, like his anatomy, and it would be like belly, hips, hips, and then like he almost has a belly for his genitalia, right? And then his legs. Like that's how I kind of you got that. You got then you got your all right genitalia right there, and then the rest is fupa. I don't know if that makes sense. I might just delete it altogether and just whatever, you know. Okay. The funny part is too with this is I'm supposed to be focusing on the legs, and I got like pants now, so oh, the whole thing went out the window. Because what we're trying to do is I was gonna make this drawing, then I was gonna copy and paste it again, but then on that one kind of show oh, you know what's gonna have to happen is I'm realizing I didn't do this right at all. So maybe this is just a zombie for now. But just a regular one. Because what I want to do is kind of show one drawing like that, or like like they're getting ready to jump, and then showing another one where like they're starting to jump, and then on the third one kind of showing how their legs like kind of come apart at the seams when they jump, when they use all those tendons and all that stuff. Like you can't support the their legs give out because they couldn't support the tension and all that, the recoil from jumping. Yeah, it's just like almost ribbons. Looks nasty. But that was the goal for the character design, which I guess I could still do this. I just voice it. Imagine this thing like jumping at you though. That would suck. I think what it is too is his hair is already like. Let me do another one. It's a ponytail if you couldn't tell. Put like a little start of one back here. You can kind of see, it comes over, then wrists along your shoulders, and falls. Yeah. Yeah, that's I guess what we're gonna have to do with this image is kind of start it, and maybe we can still do what we're planning. Um, it's getting late, so I want to finish this one, and maybe on the next video, uh, uh, we can kind of figure it out. All right, actually, I'll probably call that there. So I think that's a pretty good video. Plus, I think this video is pretty clean for what I talked about. So I'll post this and I'll keep it going and I'll try to uh my what am I trying to say? Not crit try to edit myself. How do you say that? It's a C word. Not criticize. I'll try to I get what I mean. I'll try to keep myself to a certain limit to where like I'll post all these videos that I've actually been doing because I'm not talking about stupid stuff. So we'll keep it we'll keep it going. I this thing's moving, so we're gonna start doing some serious work on it. I'm about to start the first couple pages, which we talked about already. I've been researching, and it turns out the helicopter I need to use it's called a Chinook, and I've been like looking up those and kind of seeing how I want to make it. And I've been kind of thinking of uh, the way I'm gonna show the inside of it. Like I have to take some liberties. Like it's not gonna be a one for one, or 'cause it is still like what do you call it? A fictional. Fictional is the fake one, right? And non-fictional is the real. It's still a fictional story, so we can do whatever we want. Really, it's not claiming to be uh, militarily accurate. So I do want to take some liberties, especially with the pilot. I have some funny stuff with the pilot I want to do. I was talking with some friends about, and yeah, we'll go from there. We'll finish this one up at some point. I'll probably do a speed run because I haven't done that in a while either. I kind of got away from doing time lapse videos with like narration, so maybe I'll do that on the next video. I kind of give myself a rest and just work on drawing because that's also different too. Like there's a difference between uh, kind of zoning out and getting into that flow state versus commentary, doing commentary on your own work. It's kind of weird. In a way, it takes you out. Like a lot of this stuff, like if I was doing this on my own, I probably would have went and got research and a bunch of reference for like Steven Seagal, and then I would have really, really, really actually done a Steven Seagal zombie, which I really want to do. So, um, yeah. But if you watched, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.